Have you ever thought about why people treat you the way they do? Why they interrupt you mid-sentence as if your thoughts don't count? Why they overlook you in group settings, acting as though you're invisible, as if everyone else matters but you? Why they mock your sensitivity, your pain, your decisions, or worse? Why they use you, drain everything you have to offer, and then disappear, as if you were just a tool? Maybe you're that person who's always there, the one who says yes, even when you're drained, who stays quiet to avoid conflict, who forgives quickly, even when no apology is given. And what do you get in return? Contempt, indifference. And you know what the hardest part of all of this is? It's that deep down you know you're not being respected, but you have no idea how to stop it. You keep accepting it. You keep trying to be understanding, polite, and helpful, hoping that one day people will recognize your value. But that day never comes. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And maybe that's the reason you haven't broken this pattern yet. Because respecting yourself requires something difficult, looking inward and admitting that you have a part in this. As long as you keep ignoring your own needs, others will continue to do the same. This video won't give you simple phrases to use or treat you like a victim. Instead, it will uncover the root of the problem, and it's closer than you think. If you're tired of being disrespected by friends, family partners, or co-workers, it's time to understand why this happens. It's time to take control of your emotional life. Here we'll explore Jung's profound psychology to uncover why you tolerate the unacceptable and how to finally break free from this cycle. As long as you continue betraying yourself, no one will treat you with the respect you deserve. Are you ready to hear what you've been too afraid to admit to yourself? The world around you isn't as chaotic as it may seem. In fact, it's a brutal reflection of your inner state. Few people have the courage to face this truth. Do you think people disrespect you because they are bad, selfish, or cold? Maybe. But what you don't want to face is that they are simply reacting to how you present yourself, or more accurately, how you fail to present yourself. When you stay silent in the face of injustice, when you accept being treated poorly, you're sending a message, you're communicating. This is how I see myself. This is how I allow myself to be treated. Carl Jung believed that external reality is a mirror of our unconscious. Everything you attract, the mistreatment, the dismissals, the painful silences, is often a symbolic reflection of how you relate to the parts of yourself you've repressed. As long as you don't recognize your own worth, you project a fragile, insecure image to the world. And that's how others will treat you, exactly as you present yourself. The issue here is not to place blame on you. It's about awakening to the fact that the disrespect you experience from others could stem from the silent agreements you've made with yourself throughout your life. Perhaps as a child, you learned that being good meant staying quiet. Maybe you were taught that being accepted meant always giving in, that love equaled submission. And now as an adult, these internal scripts continue to guide your every choice, every relationship, every word left unspoken. You've internalized the belief that your worth depends on others' validation, and this belief contaminates everything. You position yourself as inferior, not out of malice, but out of habit, an unconscious, deep-seated habit. As long as you don't bring this pattern into the light of awareness, it will continue. You can change cities, jobs, relationships, but the pattern will follow you because it lives inside you. Jung said that what we don't bring into consciousness becomes our fate. So until you confront how you see yourself, you will keep living experiences that reinforce your sense of invisibility. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you believe you deserve, even if that belief is hidden in the unconscious. But there is a way out. However, it begins at a very uncomfortable point. You need to stop seeking respect from others and start building it within yourself. And this brings us to a question few people ask, but one that defines the course of your entire emotional life. Why are you still trying to prove your worth to others? You've spent your life trying to prove that you are enough, trying to be the perfect child, the ideal partner, the friend who is always reliable, constantly bending, adjusting, and molding yourself to fit others' expectations. And what did you get in return? Brief moments of approval, yes, but never real respect. Because those who live to please others are inevitably seen as easy to manipulate. This is the trap of external validation, the most cruel and invisible aspect of the human psyche. Carl Jung taught us that the persona, the social self, the mask we wear to fit in, is necessary but dangerous. If you identify too strongly with it, you forget who you truly are. And when that happens, you disconnect from your essence. You become a polite shadow, a presence that pleases everyone but is never truly respected. The desire to be accepted is completely natural. It's a part of being human. The problem arises when this desire becomes the guiding force of your identity. When you measure your worth by others' reactions, a compliment lifts you up, but a criticism can destroy you. Your self-esteem becomes a hostage to the opinions of others. You work hard to be useful, necessary, indispensable, because deep down you believe you'll only be respected if you're flawless. But here's the harsh truth. The more you try to prove your worth, the more you show the world that you don't believe in it. People who respect themselves don't beg for attention. They don't do favors in hopes of receiving love in return. They know who they are, and that's enough. They don't need to sacrifice themselves to be seen, nor do they have to disappear to be liked. They are not afraid of disapproval because they understand that displeasing others is sometimes the cost of living with integrity. But to get to that point, you must break free from the deeply rooted idea that you need to earn others' respect. You don't need to. What you truly need is to rebuild the respect you lost for yourself. Maybe years ago, maybe always. Only then will the gaze of others stop being a threat and start being nothing more than a reflection. But this requires a choice that almost always begins with an act that seems simple but is terrifying for those trapped in the cycle of seeking approval: saying no. In the next section, we will explore this pivotal moment when you begin to set boundaries and for the first time put yourself at the center of your own life. Because respect starts right there. When you learn that saying no can be the most powerful act of self-love. If you find this content resonating with you, click the subscribe button and join the channel. Thank you for your support. You've been conditioned to believe that being a good person means never contradicting anyone, that love is all about sacrifice, that those who set boundaries are selfish, cold, and insensitive. Because of this, every time something bothers you, you swallow it. Every time someone crosses a boundary, you stay quiet. Every time you're hurt, you forgive before the other person even realizes the damage. If you believe you're being mature, balanced, and compassionate, but in truth you're erasing yourself. Little by little, day by day, you are disappearing from your own life. The problem is the world does not respect those who do not respect themselves, and respect cannot be asked for, begged for, or bargained for. Respect is something you impose, and this imposition doesn't need to be aggressive, vengeful, or violent. It needs to be firm, clear, and non-negotiable. And this starts with a word you probably fear: no. Saying no is the first real act of self-respect. It is when you communicate to the world and to yourself that there are boundaries that will not be crossed, that your energy is not for sale, your time is valuable, and your well-being matters. But to reach this point, you need to break free from the guilt that will inevitably arise. Whenever you say no to someone who is used to exploiting you, guilt will try to undermine your decision. It will try to drag you back to the place where you always gave in. Carl Jung reminds us that the process of individuation, becoming who you really are, requires confrontation. And one of the first confrontations is with the part of you that learned to survive by always saying yes. The part of you that believes pleasing others is the only way to gain acceptance. But this acceptance comes at a steep price. Your personal value, your dignity, your very identity. Do you want to be respected? Then start by saying no where you used to say yes. Begin refusing tasks that suffocate you. Start distancing yourself from relationships that drain you. Stop accepting invitations out of obligation. And notice this: the first people to be upset will be those who exploited you the most, because your boundaries will expose their abuse, and that hurts them as much as it hurts you. But this is a necessary pain. You must understand that every time you say no to the world, you're saying yes to yourself. And that yes is the beginning of something powerful, the rebirth of your authority, the recovery of your voice, and the start of a new way of living that no longer depends on the approval of others. But there's an even deeper reason you resist setting boundaries. It lies hidden in the shadows of your psyche, in the parts of you that you've repressed, denied, and buried. Yet these parts still govern your life, quietly but powerfully. In the next part, we will explore this in depth. We will explore how your shadow influences your tendency to submit, and why, unless you face what is hidden within you, you will continue to accept things that are not acceptable. Why do you put up with things that clearly hurt you? Why do you stay in friendships that drain you, relationships that exhaust you, and environments where you feel like you must hide who you really are just to fit in? Why do you allow yourself to be interrupted, ignored, overwhelmed, or wronged without taking action? The answer does not lie solely in your upbringing, traumas, or circumstances. It lies in your shadow. Carl Jung described the shadow as everything you have pushed down within yourself: emotions, desires, impulses, traits, because you were taught they were wrong, ugly, or unacceptable. The child who was scolded for saying no learned to become submissive. The one who was punished for showing anger learned to smile while holding back tears. The one who was ignored when they needed attention learned to become invisible to avoid causing trouble. So you grew up building a polite, accommodating, and pleasant persona, while burying your strength, your healthy aggression, your righteous anger. But what gets buried doesn't disappear. It grows stronger in the hidden depths of your soul. Your shadow remains alive in silence, and it is this very shadow that sabotages you when you try to assert yourself. It whispers, maybe not, whenever you attempt to stand up for yourself. It paralyzes you when you feel the need to say enough. Think about it. How many times have you wanted to speak up but stayed silent? How many times did you swallow your pride to keep the peace that was never truly yours? How many times have you allowed someone to cross your boundaries and afterward felt small, used, or dirty. You tolerate the intolerable because you're unaware of what you've buried within yourself. You fear confronting parts of yourself that you learned to despise, your anger, your firmness, your desire to protect yourself. You still believe that to be loved you need to be passive, that to keep relationships intact you have to erase yourself. But that belief is a lie. It is simply outdated conditioning running in the background of your mind. As long as you avoid this, you will keep living the same scenario in different forms. New friends, same feelings of contempt. New job, same feeling of being exploited. New relationship, same wound of invisibility. Want a concrete example? Think of that time you did something big for someone, hoping for recognition, but instead all you got was ingratitude, or worse, more demands, and you stayed silent, brooding on the inside, feeling used. Or think about that time someone disrespected you, maybe a friend, a partner, or a boss, and you swallowed your anger, telling yourself, it wasn't worth the fight. That silence isn't wisdom. It's submission disguised as maturity, and it comes straight from the shadow. Jung said that whatever you fail to accept in yourself will control you. Your repressed anger becomes passivity. Your buried firmness turns into fear. Your ignored voice becomes anxiety. You become a prisoner of your own denial. As long as you run from these parts of yourself, you will continue to live at the mercy of others, hoping that someone will treat you the way you refuse to treat yourself. But there is a way out, and it requires courage. You must integrate the shadow and reclaim what you have repressed, not to become indifferent or cruel, but to finally become whole. That is what we will dive into next. Before you can demand respect, you must first reclaim something far more important, your inner power, and it is exactly where you least want to look. If this video is touching on truths you've avoided for a long time, it's because it's time for you to take the next step. To help you with this, I've created an in-depth and transformative ebook called Beyond the Shadow, where I delve into Carl Jung's concepts and show you in a practical way how to confront your shadow, reclaim your inner strength, and break the cycle of submission that traps you. The link is in the pinned comment. Respect is not something you ask from others. It's something you build internally, day by day, with deliberate actions. If you want to stop being treated as disposable, you need to start acting as if you have value, and this doesn't happen magically. It takes practice. Constant, conscious, and intentional practice. Here are 5 practical tools you can begin using today to reclaim the respect you've lost, both for yourself and from others. First, use discomfort as a guide. Every time something bothers you, stop. Don't rationalize it. Don't make excuses for the other person's behavior. Instead, ask yourself, if I truly respected myself, what would I do in this situation? Maybe the answer is to walk away from the conversation, set a boundary, not reply to a message, or turn down an invitation. Whatever it is, follow that response. Discomfort is your body's way of alerting you that you are betraying yourself once again. Second, stop justifying everything. You don't owe anyone an explanation for every no you say. When you over-explain yourself, you signal insecurity or guilt about your decision. Respect starts with firmness. Learn to say things like, I can't, it won't work today, or I'm not comfortable with that, and leave it at that. Those who expect you to justify yourself too much are already accustomed to crossing your boundaries. Third, prioritize yourself in your schedule. Look at your week. Where do you fit into it? How many hours are dedicated to yourself? If the answer is none, that's a clear sign of self-disrespect. Block off time for activities that nourish your mind, body, and spirit, not as a luxury, but as a responsibility. Make yourself a priority, even if it's just for 1 hour each day. This small shift changes everything. Fourth, replace reactivity with pause. When someone disrespects you, your instinct might be to lash out or to stay silent. Neither of these responses is healthy. What works is pausing, breathing, and then asserting yourself clearly. Say, I don't accept this kind of treatment. This isn't okay with me. Don't apologize for your feelings, just communicate them. Those who assert themselves with respect teach others to do the same. Fifth, surround yourself with people who uplift you. Pay attention to your environment. Does it nourish you or does it drain you? Are you surrounded by people who recognize your worth or by those who only reach out when they need something? The respect you seek begins with the environment you choose. Learn to distance yourself quietly from those who don't recognize your value. Those who truly care will notice. Those who don't never truly saw you to begin with. These practices are not complicated. What makes them difficult is the emotional patterns you've built up over time. People-pleasing to be accepted, yielding to be loved, staying silent to keep the peace. Breaking these patterns takes repetition, patience, and firmness. But the more you respect yourself in small ways, the harder it becomes for others to disrespect you in significant ways. However, there's one critical issue we need to address. Even when you begin to respect yourself, there's still something that might pull you back into old patterns. The fear of being alone. Emotional dependency is the final chain that keeps you from living authentically. We will discuss this in the next part, because only those who learn to depend on themselves rather than others' approval can truly be respected. At some point, you need to stop blaming others. Stop waiting for people to change, to recognize you, to treat you with the respect you never gave yourself. The world is not blind. It's simply observing how you position yourself and reacts accordingly. You want to be heard, but you keep silencing yourself. You want to be valued, but you accept scraps. You want to be prioritized, but you always put yourself last. And then you wonder why no one sees you. The answer is harsh, but it must be said. Because you hide. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The disrespect you face, the painful relationships, the repeated cycles, they are not due to bad luck. They reflect how you treat yourself. External circumstances only shift when the internal reality is reorganized. You don't have to become cold or unapproachable to earn respect. What you need is to stop begging for love in the form of obedience. You need to stop adapting to environments that suppress your authenticity. Most importantly, you must make peace with being alone. Only those who are whole can truly bear their own company. And only those who can do that are free to choose who they want to be with. Everything else is dependence disguised as affection. From now on, whenever someone crosses your boundaries, you have two choices. Either remain silent and reinforce the old pattern, or take a stand and rewrite your story. You don't have to be aggressive to do this. You just have to be true to yourself, because when you respect yourself, your energy shifts, your posture changes, your gaze transforms, and the world notices. Respect begins within, and when that happens, you no longer need to ask for it. It becomes inevitable. If this video made you think, made you confront something you usually avoid, then leave a comment saying, I choose to respect myself. This can be your first public commitment to yourself. And if you want to continue this journey of transformation, watch the next video. It's just as important as this one. Go deep. You deserve to reconnect with yourself